Okay, today what I'm installing here is a 6 by 36 inch wood look planks. As you can tell, I have my cuts ready to go, so I'm going to start off with the same cuts every four tiles. For one row of the 4 tiles across that whole wall, since the width of the whole room. But basically what I do to get that stagger, I just basically cut the tile in half and then cut that half in another half, so you have 25% offset on these planks. Anytime you're doing any tile that's 16 inch or longer, you don't want to be running at 50% offset. You want no more than about 33. I usually do about 25 on all these planks. Reduces the chance of lippage, because especially with these planks I was installing here, a lot of planks in general, or just any tile in general, it's over 6 inches, you'll have a little bit of bow or it'll be cupped in the middle of the tile. You can't fix that cup with any leveling system or anything. That's why you have to run it no more than 33% offset to reduce lippage. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm keying in my substrate with the flat side of my trowel. And you really want to do this when you go over any substrate when you're installing tile. It gives you a lot better bond to your substrate. So once you do that, as you can see what I'm doing here, I'm notching out my thin set. I'm using a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square notch trowel, which is good for most large tiles. I usually use it for even 12 by 12. It just gives you a little bit more adjustment in the floor. Anyway, once you do that, you want to comb your thin set all in one direction. That way when you press your tile down into your adhesive, it'll allow the air to escape, which will give you a lot better coverage on the tile. And when the air escapes, it collapses the ridges, which gets you very good coverage, as I was just saying. That way the tile will never crack. You have a long-lasting installation. One thing I like to mention here as well is anytime it's setting any type of tile, which is, I'd say 8 by 8 and bigger, you always want to back bud your tile. And what I mean by that, as you can see what I'm doing here, I'm just taking the flat side of my trowel and skimming the back of the tile to fill in all the voids there. And what that also does is it'll give you a lot better bond to your adhesive that's on your substrate. So once you press it down, it's pretty difficult to take up. You got to get your margin trowel, whatever you're using, pretty much pry it up, because there's adhesive on the tile and the substrate, and you're really pretty much guaranteed to never have a problem as long as you set the tile correctly and not just drop it in there. You want to push into the adhesive well, and you'll never have a problem.